boyfriends. At the end of that time, she'd know what to do next. She was sure of it. The cabin was perfect. The location was right, and her soul already told her this was where she belonged. Going from city chick to nature gal would be an interesting change, but it was one she looked forward to. "I'll take it, I think." "Yes. Tell the owner I'll pay the 2 months' rent in full as soon as she draws up the contract. It'd be great if we could sign today so I don't have to find somewhere to stay the night tonight. I've already had a long drive today, so I don't back out. Chicken out." "The owner's a he." Jill smiled and clasped her stack of papers a little tighter. "I'd rather not have to drive back into town if I don't have to. Not yet. If I can sign today, then I can worry about extra supplies tomorrow. I need to do this. You don't know how badly I need to make this move on my own. As it turns out, Mr. Martin is the park ranger for this area of the National Forest. Since he moved into the government-provided house down the ridge, he rents out his old cabin during the spring and summer, so you really couldn't have a better landlord. Well, unless he was a cop." She rocked back on her heels, smiling. "And?" Amy stared at Jill, who was clearly dying to gossip. She knew the signs. There had been plenty of those types at Advert, and she'd not participated in their games. Might have been one of the reasons they let her go. She didn't play politics. "He's a fine sight to look at, too." Jill stood on her tiptoes and reached up high. "About this tall. Big guy." "I beg your pardon?" Jill blushed. "Nothing. I just said the owner is a he, and he's handsome. You'll be glad he is. A he, that is." "Fine. He, she, whatever. How soon can I sign the lease?" Amy pulled the curtains back into place and the room dimmed. So what if the landlord was a hot guy? That was the very last thing she needed. This was Amy time, and no guy was going to push in on it and use it up. 2 months was short already. No harm in looking, though. The agent shuffled papers in her notebook at the kitchen table. "The rental agreement is the same paperwork I emailed you last week. I printed it out because I knew once you saw the cabin you'd want to rent it." "Yes, of course." Amy scanned the room again. Before she could work on anything, she'd need to give the place a thorough cleaning. That meant a trip into Oakwood for supplies and food. She only had a cooler and a couple sandwiches with her and some bottled water. It'd be great if she could wait till tomorrow to drive back into town. She was so tired. She moved aside her thin scarf and rubbed at her tense neck muscles. A good night's sleep would work wonders. The cabin wasn't that dirty, just some dust from not being used. Cleaning could wait a day. "How close are we to Oakwood?" "I drove here through Henryden, but Oakwood's closer, yes?" "Yes, the National Park Deep Creek sits between Oakwood and Henryden, but we're closer to Oakwood. Oakwood is 15 minutes away, at most. Henryden is 45 and in the other direction. Oakwood only has 1 hotel, and I think Henryden has 3 or 4. I don't think I can make it all the way back there tonight." She slipped the scarf from around her neck and set it on the table. "The cabin is still available? That's shocking. It's so nice." "It's one of the nicest short-term rentals within 50 miles. Too bad he doesn't rent the place in the winter season. People would be all over it. Someone tried to start a camping park outside the National Forest, but we only get a few RVs in the summertime." Amy ran her hand over the soft chenille spread draped over the couch's back. Yes, she wanted this cabin. She belonged in the place. I'm sure they would. "Let's make this legal. Has Mr. Martin signed the lease?" The drive from Atlanta had taken 2 days, the last of which meandered through tiny roads in New York. Having a bed for more than one night, a bed she could call her own for a while, was pretty appealing. She picked up the paper and glanced over the terms. It was the same form she'd read before arriving, and things looked to be in order. "No, he wanted to meet the prospective tenant first. I'll call him right now." "Great, thanks." Jill pulled out her phone and scrolled through numbers. "If we're lucky, we'll catch him at home. The ranger station is down the ridge near the park entrance. Would save everyone some trouble if he could come on now." "Thanks. I'm going to check out the rest of the place." She set the paper on the table and squared it with the edges. Her hands shook with excitement. Even the air felt alive here. Maybe it was getting out of the city, or maybe it was the chance to finally do what she loved. She didn't know. She was as close to happy as she'd been in... She couldn't remember. Here she'd be able to get out into nature every day and paint.